Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at another Street Fighter figure. This time around we have the Street Fighter 2 Final Challengers Cammy by JadaToys. And I'm looking forward to this figure because I was a big fan of the Chun-Li figure, and I heard that Cammy is even better than Chun-Li, so we'll see if that turns out to be true. She does look really good through the box, so yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the packaging. I love the arcade cabinet theme packaging that they use for their Street Fighter figures. I think it's awesome. Through the box, you are able to see the figure itself. On the front, we get some artwork, some buttons. On the side of the box, we get some artwork and some information about the character. On the back, we get a look at the figure and then a look at a bunch of other characters that JadaToys will be doing or have done. And then on this side of the box, we get some more artwork. And that's about it for the packaging. It does look awesome, but enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get Cammy out and take a look. Alright, so here we have Cammy right out of the box. And no surprise at all, she turned out really, really dope. Once again, JadaToys killing it with the Street Fighter figures. She turned out really dope, man. Great looking figure, crazy articulation, and just another one of those hand candy type of situations, you know? But I will say, she kind of pisses me off a little bit. And the reason why is because there's other characters out there in other universes that have very similar designs to Cammy, and we don't have any really, really dope figures of them. The main one that comes to mind is Psylocke. Like, how come no one could make a good 1/12 scale Psylocke? Marvel Legends and Mafex have both tried, and I don't really think any of those figures do the job well. None of them are as good as Cammy, that's for sure. I do like the Diamond Select Psylocke, but again, you know, that's kind of a weird scale, and it's nowhere near as good as this Cammy figure. Like, JadaToys absolutely killed it. But, man, I just wish I had a Psylocke that could do everything that Cammy could do, and that looked as good as this. But JadaToys definitely did an amazing job on this. One thing that stood out to me right away when I took her out of the box is I love this area right here. All of it's so clean, you know. She does have like a soft waist piece, kind of like, you know, like a McFarlane figure or whatever. And oftentimes that little piece is called like a diaper. But with her, it doesn't look like a diaper at all. It's all smooth and clean. Like the transition from the lower torso to the waist looks really good. See that? It's very clean and well done, but you could still get a lot of range out of the waist joint. So that's really nice. And then, you know, at first I was kind of thinking like, you know, with Cammy, because she does have this bikini thong thing, that it would make sense for this whole area to be like the point of articulation. But it's kind of, I mean, her bikini thing is so small. Like, this is such a big area that I guess that wouldn't have worked. And the way they did it still looks pretty good and maintains a lot of articulation. So, you know, that's good. But at first, you know, I was like, oh, this is going to look weird. And in some cases it does, because you have that extra breakup right there. And then you have, you know, her butt cheek. But yeah, it could look kind of weird. But I think this is probably the best way they could have done it to maintain like the best, like most useful, good looking articulation. So, you know, at first I was like, oh yeah, this whole piece should spin. But I think that would have been a little too crazy. But yeah, man, this figure looks really, really dope. And just so much fun to play with. Like, it's super posable. She has a little less articulation than some other JadaToys figures, but she's just as posable. Like, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff with her. So yeah, they absolutely killed it. And then taking a close look at the details on Cammy, one area where this figure feels like a vast improvement over something like Chun-Li is the head sculpts. Cammy comes with two of them, and both are really well done. Starting off with this one here, as you could see, it does have like a soft anime kind of vibe to it, which I think is perfect for Street Fighter. And she does have her bangs coming out from the front. She's got her hat. The face itself is really nice. You can see that she has good looking blue eyes and the scar on the cheek. The eyebrows, all that looks really good. And then she has this long braided hair. And this is so cool because both of these braids are posable. You can swing them around and do different things with them, so that's really cool. And the hair is like a bright yellow. It's kind of hard to see on camera here, to be honest with you, but there's a little bit of a white wash in there to bring out some of the details. And I think it's dope that they did that, because if they had not put a wash in there, like, you wouldn't be able to see anything because of the bright blonde hair or yellow hair. So yeah, I think this is a really good looking head sculpt. And then for the alternate head sculpt, we have Cammy screaming. And again, I think this looks really good. The eyes look nice. They're very well painted. It's all very crisp and clean. And this head sculpt has additional paint work because of the mouth area. And once again, she does have these posable braids, which are super dope. And the bangs are different on this head sculpt. They're not really hanging down in front. They're kind of going off to the side. So again, all the crazy hair makes it look like the figure's in motion, you know, so that's good. But yeah, both of these head sculpts are nice. And then moving down to the body, as you can see, the torso has this green, like, bikini kind of thing. I don't know. Is that what it's called? I don't know what the hell it's called. But it looks really good. I like the green that they used right here. You can see that it's not just like a solid green. There's some, like, wash in there and a little bit of highlights. But it's all very subtle. I think that JadaToys does a great job of, like, applying a wash to their figures, but not overdoing it. It's just enough to bring out some detail. And it looks good. You can see some muscles in there. Yeah, so that's all very nice. For the arms, not a whole lot going on, but she does have pinless elbows. And then she does have these forearm glove things. And she has her camo pattern on her legs. Are these tattoos? What the hell is going on here? But these look really good. They're very well painted and stuff. And then she does have pinless knees. And down here, she's got her black boots and red socks. So there you go. Some pretty nice detail on the figure. I'm especially impressed with the nice wash that they did on the torso area. That looks good. And then the head sculpts are really nice. So yeah, I think Cammy looks great. In addition to the two head sculpts, Cammy also comes with two different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists. And then she has a set of flat, like, pushing hands or, like, balancing hands. Something like that. And the pegs on the hands are really long, but I think there's a benefit to that we'll talk about later. And even though they're long, they still pop in with no problem. So, yeah, it's not a negative or anything, but just something interesting. And then Cammy also comes with this really cool kick effect. Check this out. This thing is dope, man. I like it a lot. It fits on her foot nicely. The groove in there is like the shape of the tip of her boot. So once you put that on there, you don't have to worry about it falling off or anything. It's going to stay in place perfectly. And it looks really cool. I like the fiery color there, and then it kind of fades down to like a more clear color. So you could even see the boot in there. And it's like a, you know, it's like a translucent plastic. So it's another effect that it's going to look really cool if you could get it to catch some light for photos and stuff. So yeah, this is dope, man. And I like the way it kind of forms around the leg. That's a really dope effect. And for size comparisons, here we have Cammy alongside the JadaToys Street Fighter Ryu and Dhalsim. And as you can see, Cammy is much smaller than the other Street Fighter figures. And I don't know if that's accurate for the character, but I do like the idea of her being a little bit shorter than the other characters, only because it just kind of adds variety to the entire lineup, you know? You don't want everyone to be around the same height, so it's cool that she's so much smaller than the other characters. She still feels within the same scale and everything, but you could tell that she's much shorter than them. But I think it looks good. And then next up, we have her alongside the JadaToys Street Fighter Chun-Li and the SodaToys Street Fighter Cammy. And yeah, as you can see, Cammy is shorter than Chun-Li in this case, so that's interesting. And you know, I like a lot of the SodaToys Street Fighter figures. I still like them. I think a bunch of them hold up really well, but Cammy is not one of those characters that holds up well. So it's nice that we finally got a new one, and yeah, JadaToys killed it. And then here we have Cammy alongside the JadaToys Street Fighter M Bison and the JadaToys Street Fighter DJ. I just did a review for DJ, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, I think she looks good next to both of them. I like that she's so much smaller than M Bison. I think that works really well for them. I know they have a lot of connection in the story of Street Fighter, so yeah, I think they look good together. And then here we have Cammy alongside a couple of other female video game figures. On the left, we have the Hasbro Fortnite Sky, and then on this side, we have the Spin Master Aloy. And yeah, I would say that JadaToys makes like the best video game figures in this price range. Hasbro had a really good thing going with their Fortnite figures, but they kind of abandoned that, so they're kind of out of the picture. But yeah, as far as like JadaToys goes, they're killing it in the video game space. And then here we have Cammy alongside the Coffin Comics La Muerta by Loose Collector, and then on the opposite side we have the Marvel Legends Black Widow. And then here we have Cammy alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And then here we have Cammy alongside the Mafex Psylocke and the Marvel Legends training suit Psylocke. And yeah, man, like I said earlier, Cammy has a very similar costume design to Psylocke, and no company has made a really good 1/12 scale Psylocke figure. And it pisses me off. I really wish that we had a Psylocke that was as good as this Cammy. That would be amazing. I kind of want to get an extra and see if I could customize it into a Psylocke. I was going to do a head swap, but none of the head swaps were able to go on to the Cammy figure. This one on the Marvel Legends one is too big, and on the Mafex one, you know, the plug on the inside just doesn't work with the JadaToys body, so I would have to pop things apart. I don't want to do that right now, but yeah, man, I think I'm going to get another Cammy and make a good Psylocke. And then for the final size comparison, we have the most important size comparison of all. Here we have Cammy alongside my original character. That's the Unparalleled Universe, Odious. And there's more information for him in the description below. On the opposite side, we have the King. That's the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage Comics Kirby, aka Jack Kirby. And the articulation on Cammy is really nice. Just like all the other JadaToys Street Fighter figures, she's a whole bunch of fun to play with. She actually does have less points of articulation than some of the other Street Fighter figures. Like, she doesn't have butterfly joints, but honestly, you don't feel the absence of the butterfly joint whatsoever. The shoulder can still do pretty much anything that you need her shoulders to do. And honestly, if they would have forced butterfly joints in here, they probably wouldn't have worked very well anyways, because, you know, the upper chest area is kind of small. Like, there's not a lot of room to work in there. So I'm glad that they didn't try to force butterfly joints in there. And like I said, I think the shoulders work perfectly fine as is. And aside from the shoulders, the rest of the articulation is exactly what we've seen on all the other JadaToys Street Fighter figures, which is amazing. I love their whole articulation setup. They've been killing it. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we have going on here, starting off at the head. So she does have a ball joint, like a ball peg at the upper neck, and there is movement at the lower neck, but it's a little restricted because they put the lower neck into the collar. So the collar is kind of blocking a little bit of the neck movement. You could see that it's moving a little bit, but you're not going to get too much range out of it. Most of the head movement is going to come from that upper neck ball peg joint. And just with that, we get some really good range. As you can see, her head is able to tilt a really nice amount. She could look side to side. She could look up to about right there, which is pretty good. And then she could look down to right there, which is nice. So yeah, pretty good movement at the head and the neck. And then she also has articulated braids, and I freaking love this. This is so cool. You know, having the articulated braids definitely, you know, allows for some more dynamic movement and just more like action-packed kind of positions and poses. So man, I love the fact that they made the braids articulated. And it, you know, I have a lot of respect for this because they didn't have to do this. You know, they could have just made this one piece, and that probably would have been cheaper for them. They could have just made the head and the hair one piece, you know, but now it's 3 pieces, so that's probably more tooling and just more work. But it's not like they increased the price of the figure or anything like that, you know. So I love stuff like this where they go the extra mile just to give us something a little better. That is really cool. And then moving down to the torso, like I always say, JadaToys has one of my favorite torso setups, which is, you know, very similar to Mafex, where they have a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. Using both of those, she gets some really good range going forward. Then she could, whoa, damn, she could bend back a crazy amount. And then we get some nice like side to side movement using both of those joints. So that's awesome. Can't really twist at the diaphragm. You're going to get your swivel at the waist. So really good stuff here at the torso. And then for the arms, as I mentioned before, she does have ball joints here at the shoulders, no butterfly joint, but her arm does go all the way around. You can bring them up to about right there. And they are a little tight, but yeah, you can bring them up a nice amount. And you could get her arms in front of her a really good amount too. So like I said, you don't feel the absence of the butterfly joint. You can get her arms in front of her like for punching poses and all that type of goodness. So yeah, that's perfect right there. More than enough. And then she does have upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, a swivel at the wrist, and a hinge at the wrist. And you know, the wrist joints kind of have like a long peg. And it's kind of interesting because that kind of helps the articulation a little bit. Like, you can curl her wrist quite a bit and you don't have to worry about it popping out on you. So that's nice. And then for the legs are really impressive because she could kick forward a crazy amount. Look at this. That's insane right there. That is so awesome. Can she do both at the same time? Yeah, she can. That's crazy. So really nice movement at the legs. You can kick out to the side to about right there. She can do the splits. She could even move her leg back a crazy amount. She does have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Bam. She could throw some high knees at these motherfuckers. Boom. Yeah, so that's dope right there. And then she does have boot swivel. And then at the foot, you could bring it forward to right there, up to right there. And she has rocking ankles. So yeah, man, like I said, her articulation is really, really crazy. Even with less points of articulation, I feel like, you know, the posability is up there with some of the best, you know, 1/12 scale figures that you could find. Like, it's crazy. You can pose her. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I don't know if she would need to do this, but the fact that she could, like, crouch down this much is crazy to me. Look at that. Almost getting to, like, Spider-Man poses. So yeah, man, the articulation on Cammy is absolutely ridiculous. And as I mentioned, this figure is just so much fun to play with. Another figure that's going to be very hard to put down once you pick it up and start messing with it because, you know, she's just so much fun to mess around with. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think that Cammy turned out really, really dope. JadaToys did a great job on her all the way around. Honestly, I really don't have any complaints. I think that every aspect to her is well executed. She looks good. The sculpting work is there. The paint work is nice. I really like the paint work they did on the suit because, you know, obviously it's just a green suit, but they did a nice job of, you know, working in some washes and some highlights and things like that to make it look a little more interesting. I love the head sculpts. Both of them are really nice. The posable hair is such a cool little feature. I like that quite a bit. The accessories are cool too. The two heads, the two sets of hands, and the energy effect. There's not a whole lot, but there's definitely enough for a figure at this price. And the articulation on Cammy is ridiculous. This is one of those figures that is a whole bunch of fun to play with. I feel like she's probably one of the most articulated non-import female figures that I've ever seen. I mean, you know, now Marvel Legends has the new Black Widow buck, and, you know, some G.I. Joe's has like a bunch of cool things, like a bunch of females that have some nice articulation. But I don't think I've played with a non-import female figure that moves as well as this Cammy figure. Like, she could just do any type of pose that you'd want out of a fighting character. So yeah, they did a great job with it, man. So once again, JadaToys gives us another banger in the Street Fighter line. They just continue to kill it and continue to improve. So that's really nice to see. Huge thank you to JadaToys for sending this out to me. I do appreciate it. Specifically the homie June, he hooked it up. But yeah, Cammy is awesome. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.